Welcome one, welcome all to the podcast that shines the light on athletes past, future and present. This is their story. This is 2020 Vision. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of 2020 Vision. It is episode 15, and this week we are not only focusing on athletes, but a certain event that's been held for many years in South Australia, and that is the Fitzy's 5. Today we are speaking with the female winner, Tara Palm, and the male winner, Adrian Potter. Fitzy's 5 was created to honour the memory of David Fitzsimmons. David Fitzsimmons was one of Australia's leading distance runners in the 1970s, renowned for being able to push himself to the point of absolute exhaustion. The stories about Fitzy are as legendary as his racing feats. Fitzy won 8 Australian championships over 5,000 and 10,000 metres, including the double on 3 occasions, a dual Olympian, an Olympic finalist over 10,000 metres, a 6th placed in the 1974 Commonwealth Games, and a bronze medal over 5,000 metres at the 1977 World Cup, made David Fitzsimmons one of the greats. A proud South Australian, Fitzy had a lively sense of humour and was a devoted husband and proud father. Forever a picture of fitness. Sadly, Fitzy was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. As tenacious and determined as Fitzy was, even he couldn't beat this opponent, and tragically he passed away on September the 7th, 2008 at the age of 58. We run this event in memory of David Fitzsimmons. I was lucky enough to be chatting with the winners of this year's events, so I'm going to go over to Tara Palm. She's going to give us a brief explanation on what it's like to run the Fitzy 5 and what it means to her.
Fitzy's 5 was Sunday last weekend. It's probably one of my 2 favourite races to do each year in Adelaide would be the City to Bay Fun Run and the Fitzy's 5. So the Fitzy's 5 is a 5k course run North Adelaide. It's in honour of David Fitzsimmons. And myself and Adrian Potter this year were fortunate enough to come away with the wins, and it's an event I always love doing. My goal with the race is just I was using it as just a bit of a sort of a preparation race to see where I'm at with my training. So I've just sort of been training the last 5 weeks after getting over a little calf niggle, and I just wanted to have a good hard run, and I surprised myself by going a little bit faster than I thought. I did it in 15 minutes and 42 seconds, so I was very happy with the result. It's a great race in that it's right in the middle of North Adelaide, so it starts around Adelaide Uni. You run along North Terrace, then you go down King Willie Road. For people from Adelaide, this will be relevant, but then you go around sort of Uni Loop, McKinnon Parade, and so the course is overall slightly downhill. It's all on road. It's very, very fast, very sharp course, and always gets a good turnout, and just has a really nice sort of, I find fun runs have just a really nice sort of atmosphere. You know, it's all for a good cause. It's all a bit of fun. People of all ages, abilities get involved, and it's just a really, really, really great event.
There we had Tara Palm, who explained to us what the Fitzy's 5 run means to her, and of course South Australia in general. I thank Tara for her time, and that was just a brief snippet of a future episode which I'll be releasing, which is going to be focusing on Tara and her amazing career so far. Now, I bring it to a young gun, that is Adrian Potter, and Adrian was the winner for the men's section of the Fitzy's 5. I hope you enjoy my chat as we speak about his past, his present, and what we hope to see in the future. Here he is, Adrian Potter. Adrian, thank you very much for joining me on my podcast, 2020 Vision. Do you mind starting off telling us how you became an athlete?
Hey, Jordan, thanks for having me firstly. I guess in terms of me, my athletic career, I didn't get into running as such specifically until probably when I was 20. During primary school, played a lot of tennis and hockey. They were my main sports for a while, and never really did athletics more than just a couple of runs and sports day. But slowly was drawn to it by sort of starting to do a few fun runs here and there. So I did City to Bay pretty much every year since I was 15, which is our our fun run here in Adelaide, and then started getting into the park runs actually. And through them, I sort of just got hooked on running, and then got dragged out to Adelaide Harriers, one of the athletics clubs here in Adelaide. So I haven't looked back. So loving it since then.
Beautiful. Do you have any inspirations that you look up to in regards to running?
I guess like there's athletes out at the club who have taught me a lot since I've been out there. So in particular, one of my training partners, Reece Jones, he's runs 3 minutes 42 for the 1500. So like coming to the club when he was in his in that really good form, I sort of learned a lot off him. And then currently Tara Palm as well is another Harrier who's out there. She's running really, really well. So got a lot of experience. So she teaches me a lot of things.
Yeah.
So those would be my two sort of personally that I've interacted with.
That's right. And you have a coach?
Yeah. So coach is David Patterson or Pato. So and same again. He's pretty much since I've been out there the last 4 years or so been out with me 3 times a week. Always keen for training. So giving me a lot of guidance, which has definitely helped.
Beautiful. And what does a normal training session involve for you?
So like most days I'll do some sort of a run, but 3 times a week we'll do what you'd say would be a more intense session. So can be a variety of things but probably a staple one that we might do is 1 kilometre repeats. So like we do a warm up and then get into the session, which might be 8 by 1 kilometre with a minute or 2 minutes rest in between. So that's a pretty staple one that we do. Others that we often do is like fartlek running, which is more continuous running but with changes of pace. So those are some classic and common ones that we do.
Something not for the light-hearted then.
It's there's plenty of people around to help push you along. But they can be tough work, but it's enjoyable.
No, and
when you're finished.
Exactly, mate. And it's good that you enjoy that sort of stuff, and you've got something to go. Like apart from, do you work as well? May I ask?
Yeah. So I'm at the moment full time. I'm physio. So Monday to Friday. That's what I'm doing. So works in well. Have the weekends to train, and then after work time. So
yeah, exactly. So you get that thing you get to sort of kick back on outside of work, which is awesome. It's good for the mental health, and it also being a physio, you also know the rights and wrongs when it comes to running as well. Am I correct?
I think it does give me a bit of an insight into injuries, which is obviously a massive part of running. Obviously, the harder you train, the more risk of injuries popping up there is. So having that awareness, I think, has actually been pretty helpful for my running career, owing to the fact that I haven't had too many significant injuries since starting, which has been really good.
Let's talk about your career and the successes you've had so far. I know of one that's only just last week, and that's the Fitzy's 5. Do you mind starting off with that?
Yeah, no worries. Last week the Fitzy's 5, that 5K local fun run. So that's probably would be the biggest 5K race that we have in Adelaide, and it's run for charity in honour of Dave Fitzsimmons, who was one of SA's most prominent and successful 5K runners. So that race last weekend was happy that I was able to come out on top there with a victory. So that was a good race. Always a nice quick course as well. Starts a little bit downhill, so the first kilometre it's always on. But 5Ks it's over nice and quick, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. So you had a good run on the day?
Yeah. I was quite pleased with the way I ran it. So I also won the event last year, and I was happy to get I'm not sure exactly what they officially got the time at, but I was either 1 or 2 seconds quicker than last year, which is good. So happy to be in that sort of shape, and there was a few good runs from especially the runner behind me in second. He wasn't too far off me. Isaac Keane.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, you've spoken about the City to Bay fun runs as well. Do you want to talk us through some of your memorable moments running that? Because I remember myself running when I was, I think, 16, and that was my only one. It just killed me. So it's good that you've actually stuck to it.
I worked out the other day that this will be my 10th in a row since starting. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favourites. I would regularly do. So I've done it every year with one of my schoolmates, Mike. So he, since we started, I reckon we were just over an hour on our very first one, and then last year I did it in under 36 minutes. So it's pretty cool to see where I've progressed from there. But yeah, that's Adelaide's like biggest fun run. With they get around 30,000 people depending on the year. And in terms of good results that I've had there, the last 2 years I've come fifth overall, which is something I never thought I'd be able to do. So yeah, proud of those performances. And also last year I came first South Australian runner out of the field, which they also have a title for. So that was something that I was really chuffed to be able to do.
Yeah, awesome, mate. They have rotated the so it's not the City to Bay. They do the Bay to City. Have you had a shot at that as well?
Yeah, I did do that the first year that they had it. So yeah, it is a little bit tougher because it's ever so slightly downhill. So when you go back the other way, it's uphill. So
yeah,
I think it's the same course, but a little bit easier when you go the traditional way.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. So, what are some other things that you get around doing? Do you ever make your way over to Sydney? I know they've got the City to Surf this weekend. Is that on the cards?
I haven't done the City to Surf yet. That's definitely something that I would want to do, and will be on the bucket list of races. In terms of interstate travel, I have been the last couple of years been doing a fair bit, mostly to Melbourne or Sydney for some of the track races. So for like the 5,000 metre Australian Championships and then the 10,000 metre Australian Championships. So those are a couple of races that I've travelled for. And just in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to Wollongong for the National Cross Country Championships. So that'll be my next interstate trip.
Beautiful, mate. Have you had any green and gold moments yet?
No. So that's something that I think I guess it got a little bit more improvement to go before I can secure something like that. But it is something that a lot of distance runners have ambitions to get to. So I did do the World Cross Country Trial in Canberra at the start of this year and came 10th there. So that was encouraging for me to know that with a few more years of training, I'm not going to be too far off it. But yeah, there's obviously some really good talent around. So getting your hands on one of those singlets is not too easy. But we'll keep working on it.
Yeah, exactly. We have those things that we strive for, and it's always good. You haven't photoshopped your face on an image of Craig Mottram yet, or something like that?
No, I haven't. But one of my mates, one of the young kids from the club, has started an Instagram page where he puts up stuff like that. So I wouldn't put it past him.
That's all right. We'll have to get to him and get him to do that then. So,
yeah.
Is there any words of advice you would offer to runners that are just starting up? You just talked about the young kid. If he's sitting in front of you, what would you say to him?
I guess not claiming to be an expert, but I think one of the things that I definitely see with a lot of runners, especially like runners that I'll see in the clinic at work, the main thing is just increasing your training too quickly, so doing too much too soon, which is definitely a trap, because that it gets you fitter quicker, but that's where the injuries definitely pop up, when the body is not is not used to it yet. So I think it's a cliche, but patience and consistency are obviously definitely important for distance running. So that would be my biggest one for new runners. Another thing would also be trying to vary their intensity. So not doing every run at the same pace. Basically, trying to do lots of easy running around their more intense hard workouts. So that's a few tips.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Thank you. So what does the future hold for you then? What do you? I know we've talked about that green and gold, but in the next year, let's say, what are you shooting for?
Yeah, I guess So next, within the next couple of months, there is the cross country nationals, and then the City to Bay. That's only a bit over a month away. So those are my next two immediate goals to shoot for. So I think around that sort of top 5 range in those races would be something that I'd be really happy with. But in terms of the next year or so, it's just trying to build on the fitness that I've been developing. Still competing at the national titles and hoping to improve my positioning there and to obviously improve my PBs. So always the goal is just getting quicker as quick as I can. But I think I have been weighing up whether to do a bit of overseas travel, potentially to do like some track races during the Australian winters, which just to get a bit more exposure to good races with deep fields. Obviously, we only have like a few select races in Australia which are have really good fields. So that's something that I have thought about doing as well. So
yeah, exactly. So it's always good to test yourself against those bigger guys. Do you ever watch the major competitions and see who you're up against?
Definitely. I watch or keep a close eye on definitely the Australian scene, and have I follow a lot of them, on Instagram and that sort of thing. The Australian guys. So you definitely keep up with the results, especially some of the overseas results at the moment recently have been pretty strong. So definitely do keep a bit of an eye on it.
No, awesome, mate. Well, I thank you very much for joining me for a chat about what happened in your past, what's happening in your present and your future. So thank you very much for being involved in 2020 Vision.
Absolutely, Jordan. No worries at all. Thanks a lot for having me.
There we had Adrian Potter, an athlete with a very bright future. I thank him as well as Tara Palm, whose episode will be out in the near future. Make sure to check out the Athletics Australia, Athletics SA, New South Wales, ACT, Queensland, whichever state that you are involved in, because they do have amazing events that run, and I will try in the future to focus on all. I just loved looking into the Fitzy's 5 and, of course, the man David Fitzsimmons, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about him as well. I thank you very much for joining me on this week's episode 15. Join me next week. Who knows who we're going to get. For more of a look at our athletes that we feature on episodes, go to our Facebook page, 2020 Vision Podcast, where you will find all information on our episodes as well as what's happening next week. This is 2020 Vision.